Let me reveal to you the exact principle by which this operates in consciousness. What appears as delay, what feels like resistance, what seems like endless waiting, these are actually the final moments before manifestation. Just as the darkest hour comes before dawn, your greatest resistance precedes your greatest breakthrough. Here is the divine law. When manifestation seems furthest away, it is actually closest at hand. For in the realm of consciousness, every feeling of distance is actually a sign of imminent manifestation. Your breakthrough is not coming, it is already here in consciousness, pressing against the thin veil of appearance. Now, let me share with you something profound that few will ever grasp. The very fact that you are receiving this message, that you are hearing these words, is absolute proof that your breakthrough is at hand. For in divine law, nothing comes to your attention unless it is already seeking expression in your world. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing: my breakthrough is not coming, it is here now. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no waiting, no process, no delay. There is only the acceptance or rejection of what already is. Let me share with you now how this principle operates in specific areas of your life. For this law is absolute and applies to every sphere of manifestation. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that the very presence of desire is proof of its fulfillment. For in divine law, no desire can exist unless its fulfillment already exists in consciousness. The desire itself is the shadow cast by the manifestation that already is. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your desire is directly proportional to the immediacy of its manifestation. That burning sensation you feel, it is not longing. It is the pressure of manifestation pressing against the thin veil of appearance. That persistent vision, it is not fantasy, it is reality seeking expression. Now, here is something profound about desire that most will never grasp. The universe will give you desires it cannot fulfill. Every desire you feel is actually the universe announcing what it is about to deliver. Your desires are not your tormentors, they are your prophets. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing: my desires are not mere wishes. They are announcements of what must come. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as unfulfilled desire. There is only delayed recognition of what already is. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your apparent obstacles. Every barrier you face, every resistance you encounter, every setback that seems to delay you, all of these are actually signs of imminent breakthrough. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that time itself is nothing but a servant of consciousness. What appears as delay in the world of Caesar is actually perfect timing in the realm of divine law. For in consciousness, there is no waiting, there is only the perfect unfoldment of what already is. Here is the exact law. The moment of greatest doubt is the moment of imminent manifestation. That feeling of how much longer is actually the birth pain of your manifestation. That sense of will it ever happen is the final resistance before breakthrough. Now, here is something profound about divine timing that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't delay, it develops. What appears as waiting is actually the perfect preparation for manifestation. Your seeming delays are not denials, they are divine setups for perfect manifestation. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing: every apparent delay is actually perfect timing. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no such thing as waiting. There is only the perfect unfoldment of divine order. Let me reveal to you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your current circumstances. Every condition that seems fixed, every situation that appears unchangeable, every reality that feels permanent, all of these are actually fluid and responsive to your consciousness. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that circumstances have no power to persist except through your consciousness of them. For in divine law, what appears as solid circumstance is actually as malleable as clay in the hands of your imagination. Here is the exact law. Your current circumstances, no matter how seemingly fixed, are actually in a constant state of flux, responding moment by moment to your consciousness. That unchanging situation, it is actually trembling on the verge of transformation. That fixed reality, it is actually fluid, waiting for your consciousness to reshape it. Now here is something profound about circumstances that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't see your current conditions, It sees only your consciousness of what could be. Your circumstances are not your prison. They are your canvas, waiting for the brush of your imagination. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing, my circumstances are fluid and responsive to my consciousness. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no such thing as fixed reality. There is only the constantly shifting reflection of your assumptions. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your past experiences. Every failure you've endured, every setback you've faced, every disappointment you've survived, all of these are actually building blocks for your imminent breakthrough. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that failure is impossible in the divine economy. For in consciousness, what appears as failure is actually success in rehearsal. Every seeming defeat is actually preparation for victory. Every apparent setback is advancement in disguise. Here is the exact law. The magnitude of your previous failures is directly proportional to the scale of your imminent success. Those bitter defeats, they were actually training grounds for triumph. Those painful setbacks, they were actually positioning you for breakthrough. Now here is something profound about failure that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't recognize failure. It recognizes only experience, only preparation, only development. Your failures are not your identity. They are your education, preparing you for success beyond measure. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every failure is transformed into greater success. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as permanent defeat. There is only temporary instruction, only momentary redirection, only perfect preparation. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your perceived limitations. Every boundary that seems to restrict you, every limitation that appears to confine you, every ceiling that seems to cap your potential, all of these are actually springboards to greater expression. For every boundary that seems to confine you, every restriction that appears to bind you, every limitation that feels insurmountable, these are actually the launching pads for your greatest expansion. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that limitations exist only in consciousness. For in divine law, what appears as limitation is actually an invitation to transcend, to expand, to break through into new dimensions of expression. Here is the exact law. The more confined you feel, the greater your imminent expansion. That sense of being boxed in, it is actually the pressure building for explosive growth. That feeling of being restricted, it is actually the compression that precedes expansion. Now, here is something profound about limitations that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't recognize boundaries, it recognizes only opportunities for expansion. Your limitations are not your prison walls, they are your launching pads, designed to propel you beyond all previous boundaries. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every limitation contains within it the seed of greater freedom. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as permanent restriction. There is only temporary compression before expansion. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine potential. Every talent that lies dormant, every gift that remains unexpressed, every ability that seems blocked, all of these are actually gathering force for magnificent expression. Here's the exact law. The greater your sense of unrealized potential, the more imminent its expression. That feeling of untapped greatness, it is actually your manifested reality demanding expression. That sense of unrealized dreams, it is actually your success pressing against the present moment. Now, here is something profound about potential that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't give you abilities you cannot express. Every talent you possess, every gift you've been given, every capability you feel, all of these are guarantees of their own expression. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing my potential is not future possibility. It is present reality seeking expression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as unrealized potential. There is only temporarily unexpressed reality. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine timing. Every moment that seems delayed, every opportunity that appears missed, every timing that feels off, all of these are actually perfect orchestration in divine sequence. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that nothing in your experience is accidental. For in divine law, what appears as coincidence is actually consciousness made visible, the outer world reflecting your inner knowing of imminent manifestation. Here is the exact law. The increasing frequency of synchronicities in your life is direct evidence of approaching manifestation. Those meaningful numbers you keep seeing, they are actually consciousness confirming your breakthrough. Those chance encounters, they are actually divine orchestration making way for your good. Now, here is something profound about divine science that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't speak in whispers, it speaks in patterns. Every recurring sign, every repeated message, every persistent synchronicity is actually the universe confirming your imminent breakthrough. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every synchronicity is confirmation of my manifestation. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as coincidence. There is only the visible evidence of invisible law. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine preparation. Every lesson you're learning, every challenge you're facing, every experience you're having, all of these are actually perfect preparation for your imminent breakthrough. Let me reveal to you now how this principle operates in the realm of your seeming setbacks. For every obstacle that appears in your path, every resistance that rises up, every challenge that confronts you, these are not barriers to your breakthrough, they are announcements of its imminence. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that setbacks are actually setups. For in divine law, what appears as opposition is actually opportunity in disguise, resistance is actually advancement in reverse clothing. Here's the exact law. The intensity of your current challenges is directly proportional to the magnitude of your imminent breakthrough. Those overwhelming obstacles, they are actually measuring the size of your coming victory. That fierce resistance, it is actually calculating the scale of your impending triumph. Now, here is something profound about setbacks that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't send obstacles to stop you. It sends them to strengthen you. Every challenge you face is actually custom designed to prepare you for the level of success that awaits you. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. My setbacks are actually divine setups. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as opposition. There is only opportunity wearing a mask. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine precept. Every skill you're developing, every lesson you're learning, every experience you're gaining, all of these are actually perfect training for your imminent elevation. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that relationships are not fixed. They are fluid expressions of consciousness. For in divine law, what appears as separation is actually preparation for deeper union. What feels like disconnection is actually realignment for perfect connection. Here is the exact law. The depth of your current loneliness is actually measuring the magnitude of your coming actions. That sense of isolation, it is actually creating space for divine relationships. That feeling of disconnection, it is actually clearing the way for perfect unity. Now here is something profound about divine relationships that few will ever grasp. The universe doesn't remove people from your life without purpose. It rearranges relationships to match your rising consciousness. Every relationship shift you experience is actually aligning you with your next level of expression. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every relationship change is perfect divine orchestration. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as lost connection. There is only perfect realignment for greater expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine purpose. Every confusion about your path, every uncertainty about your direction, every doubt about your calling, all of these are actually clarity in disguise. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that purpose is not something you find, it is something you allow to find you. For in divine law, what appears as confusion about purpose is actually perfect purpose, preparing to reveal itself with absolute clarity. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your questioning about purpose is directly proportional to the magnitude of your coming revelation. That deep uncertainty, it is actually certainty gathering force. That persistent questioning, it is actually your purpose pressing for recognition. Now, here is something profound about divine purpose that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't hide your purpose from you, it reveals it through the very questions that seem to obscure it. Your confusion is not a barrier to clarity, it is the soil from which absolute certainty will grow. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing: my purpose is not lost, it is revealing itself with perfect timing. For in consciousness there is no such thing as purposelessness. There is only purpose preparing for perfect expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine abundance. Every financial strain, every material lack, every resource limitation, all of these are actually abundance gathering force for expression. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that lack is impossible in the divine economy. For in divine law, what appears as scarcity is actually abundance compressed. What feels like limitation is actually unlimited supply gathering force. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your current financial pressure is directly proportional to the magnitude of your coming abundance. That overwhelming sense of lack, it is actually abundance compressed to its breaking point. That feeling of restriction, it is actually unlimited supply preparing to burst forth. Now, here is something profound about divine abundance that few will ever grasp. The universe doesn't create lack, it creates pressure for expansion. Every financial strain you experience is actually the universe compressing abundance until it must explode into manifestation. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing: my current limitations are actually unlimited supply and compression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as lack. There is only abundance preparing for expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine health. Every physical challenge, every bodily limitation, every health concern, all of these are actually perfect health pressing against temporary appearance. Let me reveal to you now how this principle operates in the realm of your divine health. For every physical limitation you're experiencing, every bodily challenge you're facing, every health concern that troubles you, these are actually perfect health pushing through into expression. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that illness is impossible in divine reality. For in divine law, what appears as sickness is actually health asserting itself. What feels like limitation is actually wholeness pressing through appearance. Here is the exact law. The intensity of your current physical challenges is directly proportional to the magnitude of your coming health breakthrough. That persistent condition, it is actually perfect death gathering force. That chronic issue, it is actually wholeness preparing to express. Now here is something profound about divine health that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't create illness, it creates opportunities for greater health expression. Every physical challenge you face is actually perfect health demanding recognition. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing: my body is not broken, it is breaking through to perfect expression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as permanent illness, there is only temporary appearance yielding to divine reality. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine wisdom. Every confusion you experience, every uncertainty you face, every doubt that clouds your mind, all of these are actually perfect understanding gathering force. Let me bring all these eternal principles to their ultimate culmination. For what I have shared with you tonight is not merely theory. It is the absolute law of imminent breakthrough, the divine science of manifestation. Here is your final revelation, you who sit here now, hearing these words, receiving this message. You are not approaching your breakthrough, you are standing in its very presence. The very fact that these words are reaching your consciousness is absolute proof that your manifestation is at hand. Remember this fundamental truth: the universe, which is your own wonderful human imagination pushed out, must respond to your consciousness of breakthrough, not by human timing, but by divine law, not by mortal calculation, but by eternal principle. Here is your final instruction. Take what I have revealed to you tonight and live in the absolute assurance that everything you desire is already pressing against the thin veil of appearance seeking expression. For this is not mere possibility, this is divine law. I tell you with complete authority, if you will maintain this consciousness of imminent breakthrough, your entire world must reshape itself to reflect this truth. Every obstacle must yield, every limitation must dissolve. Every barrier must crumble before your consciousness of imminent manifestation. Go forth now in the absolute knowing that your breakthrough is not coming, it is here. You are not approaching it, you are standing in its presence. You are not waiting for it, you are witnessing its unfolding. Remember, you are not calling forth something that does not exist, you are simply awakening to what eternally is. Everything you desire already exists in divine substance, pressing against appearance, waiting for your consciousness to align with its expression. Let this be your conviction as you leave here tonight. Your breakthrough is not a future event, it is a present reality. It is not something to achieve, it is something to accept. It is not something to create, it is something to allow. For this is the eternal promise, and it cannot fail. What appears as delay is divine timing. What feels like resistance is reality gathering force. What seems like waiting is actually manifestation unfolding. The end has been reached, for you now possess the key to all manifestation, your consciousness of imminent breakthrough. Use it faithfully, use it consistently, and watch every obstacle transform into opportunity, every limitation into liberation, every barrier into breakthrough. My dear friends, imagine yourself in a garden of your own creation. This garden is your mind and the flowers that bloom. Here are your thoughts, your beliefs, and your reactions to the world around you. Now picture a weed sprouting among your carefully tended roses. This weed represents a person, a situation, or a circumstance that no longer serves your highest good. What do? Do you fight it, argue with it, or treason reason with it? No, my beloved. You simply cut it off, silently, effortlessly, without reaction. For in this world of Caesar, we are bombarded with stimuli that seek to provoke us, to elicit a reaction, to draw us into the drama of the external. But I say unto you, the power lies not in reacting, but in your capacity to remain unmoved, to cut off that which does not align with your desired state of being. Remember, the whole vast world is no more than man's imagining pushed out. If you react to every provocation, every slight, every perceived injustice, you are giving life to that which you do not desire. You are watering the weeds in your garden, allowing them to flourish and choke out the beauty you wish to cultivate. But when you choose not to react, when you cut off silently that which does not serve you, you are exercising the divine power within you. You are declaring to the universe, this has no place in my world. And the universe, my friends, has no choice but to conform to your imagination. For you are the operant power. Consider the words of Scripture, be still, and know that I am God. This stillness, this non-reaction, is not passive. It is the most powerful action you can take. For in your stillness, you are affirming your true nature as the God of your reality. When you find yourself tempted to react, to defend, to explain, or to justify, well, take a deep breath and remember who you truly are. You are not a mere mortal buffeted by the winds of circumstance. You are the dream of this dream we call life. And just as in a night dream, you have the power to change the scene, to alter the script, to cut off silently that which does not belong in your ideal state. Imagine for a moment that you are watching a play. The actors on stage are performing their roles, some to your liking, others not. Now would you leap onto the stage, arguing with the actors, trying to change their performance? Of course not. You would simply watch, knowing that it is all a play, a grand illusion. This, my dear friends, is how you must view your life. When someone attempts to provoke you, to pull you into their drama, see it for what it is, a play, a dream, an illusion. Do not react. Do not give it the power of your attention or your emotion. Instead, in your imagination, calmly and silently cut them off. Remove them from your stage. For you are the author of this play, the dreamer of this dream. But Neville, you might say, how can I simply cut off those who upset me? They are my family, my colleagues, my neighbors. To this I say, you are not cutting off the person, but the state they represent in your world. You are cutting off the version of them that does not align with your ideal. In doing so, you allow space for a new version to emerge, one that is in harmony with your desires. Remember, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. If you persist in the assumption that you must react to every provocation, that you are at the mercy of others' behaviors, then this will become your reality. But if you assume the state of one who is unmoved by external circumstances, who cuts off silently all that does not serve, then this too will harden into fact. Think of the great masters throughout history. Did they react to every criticism, every attack? No, they remained steadfast in their conviction, silent in their power. They understood that to react is to give power to that which you oppose. To cut off silently is to reclaim your power, to assert your dominion over your world. In your daily life, practice this art of non-reaction. When someone speaks harshly to you, do not retaliate. When circumstances seem to go against you, do not complain. Instead, in your imagination, see yourself rising above it all, untouched and unmoved. Feel the peace that comes with this state of being. For in your non-reaction and your silent cutting off, you are declaring, Ani Father One. This practice may seem challenging at first. The world of Caesar has conditioned us to react, to defend, to fight. But I tell you, this is the way of the old man. We are called to put on the new man, to claim our divine inheritance as creators of our reality. And in this new state, we do not fight against what we do not want. We simply remove it from our consciousness. Imagine a room in your mind. In this room are all the people, situations, and circumstances of your life. Now see yourself as the master of this room. You have the power to rearrange it as you see fit. Those elements that do not belong in your ideal state, simply and silently remove them. Do not argue with them. Do not try to change them. Simply escort them out of your mental room. This, my friends, is the art of cutting off silently. It is not done with malice or anger, but with the calm assurance of one who knows their true identity. For you are not a mere mortal, subject to the whims of others. You are a divine being, creating your reality moment by moment through your imagination. But Neville, you might ask, what if these people or situations persist in my physical reality? To this I say, persist in your new assumption. Remember, the outer world is a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. As you maintain your inner stillness, as you consistently cut off in your imagination that which does not serve you, the outer world has no choice but to conform. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. His brothers sought to harm him, to provoke him. But Joseph did not react. He cut them off silently in his consciousness, holding fast to his vision of greatness. And in time, his outer world conformed to his inner conviction. His brothers who once sought to destroy him came to bow before him. This, my beloved, is the power that lies within you. The power to remain unmoved, to cut off silently all that does not align with your ideal state. It is not a power that fights against the unwanted, but a power that simply removes it from your consciousness, leaving no room for it to manifest in your world. As you go about your day, practice this art. When someone cuts you off in traffic, resist the urge to react. Instead, in your imagination, see yourself gliding smoothly to a destination, unperturbed by the actions of others. When a colleague speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. In your mind, cut off this version of your colleague, replacing it with one who respects and admires you. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. All that you experience in the outer world is but a reflection of your inner state. By refusing to react, by cutting off silently that which does not serve you, you are shaping your consciousness. And as your consciousness changes, so too must your world. This practice requires vigilance, my friends. The world of Caesar will constantly attempt to pull you back into reaction, into Jodhima. But stand firm in your conviction. Know that you are the operant power in your reality. No one and nothing can provoke you without your consent. Imagine for a moment a pond. When a stone is thrown into the pond, it creates ripples that disturb the entire surface. This is what happens when you react to the provocations of the world. But now imagine that same pond, its surface as smooth as glass. When a stone is thrown, it simply sinks to the bottom, leaving the surface undisturbed. This is the state of consciousness you are called to embody. In your silence, in your non-reaction, you are declaring to the universe, I am unmoved by the illusions of the world. I stand firm in my true identity as the creator of my reality. And the universe has no choice but to conform to this declaration. But my dear friends, understand that this practice of cutting off silently is not about suppressing your emotions or denying yourself. It is about rising above them, transcending the level at which they occur. It is about shifting your identity from the reactive human to the guide, the divine. When you find yourself tempted to react, to argue, to defend, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, who am I? Am I this reactive being buffeted by the winds of circumstance? Or am I the creator of my reality, the master of my world? As you affirm your true identity, You will feel it easier to cut off silently all that does not align with your ideal state. Consider the example of Jesus when he was brought before peace. The world expected him to react, to defend himself against the false accusations. But what did he do? He remained silent. He cut off the entire drama silently, knowing that it was but an illusion, a play in the world of Caesar. He stood firm in his true identity, unmoved by the provocations around him. This, my beloved, is the power you are called to embody. The power to stand in the midst of chaos, unmoved and unshaken. The power to cut off silently all that does not serve your highest good. For in doing so, you are declaring your mastery over your world. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on a mountaintop. Below you, you can see the dramas and conflicts of the world playing out. But from your vantage point, they seem small, insignificant. This is the perspective you must cultivate. Rise above the petty provocations of the world. View them from the mountaintop of your divine consciousness. From this elevated state, cutting off silently becomes effortless. You no longer feel the need to engage with that which does not serve you. You simply remove it from your consciousness, knowing that what you do not energize with your attention cannot persist in your world. But remember, my friends, this practice is not about escaping the world or hiding from its challenges. It is about mastering the world, about claiming your divine power as the creator of your reality. It is about being in the world but not of it, as the scripture says. As you go about your day, be vigilant. Notice the moments when you feel compelled to react, to defend, to argue. These are the opportunities to practice your divine power. In these moments, pause. Take a deep breath. Remember who you truly are. And then silently and effortlessly cut off that which does not align with your ideal thought. Imagine yourself as a grand sculptor chiseling away at the marble of your life. Each act of cutting off silently is a stroke of your chisel, removing that which does not belong in your masterpiece. With each stroke, your true self, your ideal state, emerges more clearly. This practice, my dear friends, is the key to mastering your world. For when you no longer react to the provocations of the external, when you cut off silently all that does not serve you, you are truly free. You are no longer a slave to circumstances, but the master of your destiny. Consider the words of scripture, be in the world, but not of the world. This is the state you are called to embody. You are here in this world of Caesar, but you are not bound by its rules, its dramas, its provocations. You are of a higher order, a divine being temporarily clothed in human form. As you practice this art of cutting off silently, you will begin to notice a change in your world. Those who once provoked you will find themselves transformed in your presence. Circumstances that once seemed challenging will resolve themselves from ease. For you are no longer feeding these unwanted elements with your reaction, your attention, your energy. Imagine a garden once more, but this time, see yourself as the gardener. With calm assurance, you move through your garden humor, cutting away the weeds, pruning the overgrowth, shaping the landscape to match your vision. This is how you must move through your life. Calmly, silently cutting away all that does not belong in your ideal state. But remember, my beloved, this cutting off is not done with anger or resentment. It is done with love, with the understanding that all is you pushed out. Even those elements you choose to remove are part of you, playing their role in your grand awakening. Thank them silently for their service, and then release them from your consciousness. As you master this practice, you will find yourself moving through the world with a new sense of peace, a new sense of power. The dramas and conflicts that once seemed so important will fade into insignificance. You will stand unmoved in the center of your world, the calm eye in the storm of life. But do not mistake this state for passivity, my friends. This is the most active, most powerful state you can embody. For in your non-reaction, in your silent cutting off, you are actively shaping your world. You are exercising your divine rights as the creator of your reality. Imagine for a moment that you are the director of a grand play. The actors come to you, asking how they should perform their roles. But instead of giving them direction, you simply remove from the stage those whose performance does not align with your vision. This is how you must direct the play of your life. Not by trying to change or control others, but by simply removing from your consciousness that which does not serve your ideal. As you practice this art, you may find that some around you do not understand. They may try to provoke you, to pull you back into the old patterns of reaction. But stand firm in your new state. Remember, you are saved by your assumption. Assume the state of one who is unmoved by external provocations, who cuts off silently all that does not serve, and this state will become your reality. Consider the example of a mighty oak tree. When the winds blow, does the oak fight against them? Does it react to every gust? No, it stands firm, rooted deep in the earth, unmoved by the temporary chaos around it. This, my dear friends, is how you must stand in your world, rooted deep in the knowledge of your true identity, unmoved by the winds of circumstance. As you move through your day, be aware of the temptations to react, to engage with that which does serve you. These temptations will come, for the world of Caesar is designed to provoke, to elicit reaction. But in these moments, remember who you truly are. Remember your power to cut off silently, to remove from your consciousness all that does not align with your ideal state. Imagine yourself as a projector, casting the film of your life onto the screen of the world. When an unwanted scene appears, do you argue with the screen? Do you try to change the image by manipulating the projection? No, you simply change the film in the projector. This, my beloved, is how you must view your life. Do not try to change the outer world directly. Change your inner film, your consciousness, and the outer world will have no choice but to conform. As you master this practice, you will find that your world begins to transform. Those who once provoked you will find themselves transformed in your presence. Circumstances that once seemed challenging will resolve themselves with ease, for you are no longer feeding these unwanted elements with your reaction, your attention, your energy. But remember, this transformation does not happen overnight. It requires patience, persistence, and above all, faith. Faith in your true identity as the creator of your reality. Faith in your power to cut off silently all that does not serve you. Faith that as you change your consciousness, your world must change to match it. Consider the words of scripture. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. As you practice cutting off silently, you may not see immediate results in your outer world, but have faith, my dear friends. Know that with each act of non-reaction, with each silent removal of the unwanted from your consciousness, you are shaping your world at the deepest level. Imagine a sculptor once more, chiseling away at a block of marble. With each stroke of the chisel, the unwanted falls away, revealing the masterpiece within. But this revealing takes time. It requires patience and persistence. So too with your life. Each act of cutting off silently is a stroke of your chisel, revealing the masterpiece of your ideal state. As you go about your day, be vigilant. Notice the moments when you feel compelled to react, to defend, to argue. These are the opportunities to practice your divine power. In these moments, pause, take a deep breath. Remember who you truly are, and then silently and effortlessly cut off that which does not align with your ideal state. But my dear friends, understand that this practice is not about suppressing your emotions or denying your experiences. It is about rising above them, transcending the level at which they occur. It is about shifting your identity from the reactive human to the creative divine. When you find yourself tempted to react, to argue, to defend, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, who am I? Am I this reactive being buffeted by the winds of circumstance? Or am I the creator of my reality, the master of my world? As you affirm your true identity, you will find it easier to cut off silently all that does not align with your ideal state. Remember, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. If you persist in the assumption that you are unmoved by external provocations, that you have the power to cut off silently all that does not serve you, then this will become your reality. The world around you will have no choice but to conform to your new state of consciousness. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in a room full of mirrors. Each mirror reflects a different aspect of your life, your relationships, your work, your health, your finances. Now see yourself turning away from these mirrors, closing your eyes, and imagining the prophetic reflection in each area you're liaising. As you open your eyes, the mirrors have changed to reflect your inner vision. This, my beloved, is how you must view your world. Turn away from the unwanted reflections, cut them off silently in your mind, and hold fast to your vision of the ideal. As you practice this art of non-reaction, of cutting off silently, you may find that it becomes easier with time. What once provoked a strong reaction may barely register in your consciousness. This is a sign of your growing mastery, your deepening understanding of your true identity as the creator of your reality. But do not become complacent, my dear friends. The world of Caesar is ever ready to pull you back into old patterns of reaction. Stay vigilant. Continue to practice your art of silent removal of non-reaction. For it is through this constant practice that you solidify your new state of being. Consider the words of Scripture. Put off the old man with his deeds, and put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. This putting off of the old man, this putting on of the new, is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process and a daily practice of cutting off silently all that does not align with your true divine self. As you move through your world, be aware of the subtle ways in which you may be tempted to react. It may not always be obvious provocation. Sometimes it may be a gentle pull to engage in gossip, to complain about circumstances, to judge others. But remember, all of these are forms of reaction, ways of giving power to that which you do not desire in your world. In these moments, practice your art. Cut off these tendencies silently in your mind. See yourself rising above them, unmoved and unaffected. For in your non-reaction, in your silent removal of the unwanted, you are declaring your mastery over your world. Imagine yourself as a king or queen, seated on the throne of your consciousness. From this elevated position, you observe the dramas and conflicts of your kingdom, but instead of engaging with them directly, you simply decree their removal. This, my beloved, is how you must rule your world. Not through force or reaction, but through the calm, silent exercise of your divine authority. As you practice this art, you may find that others begin to notice a change in you. They may comment on your newfound peace, your unshakable calm. Do not be swayed by their observations, whether positive or negative. Remember, you are not doing this for the approval of others, but for the alignment of your outer world with your inner ideal. Consider the example of a master pianist. When a wrong note is played, does the pianist stop and argue with the piano? Does he react with frustration or anger? No, he simply continues playing, allowing the correct notes to naturally replace the wrong ones. This is how you must move through your life. When the wrong notes of circumstance are played, do not react. Simply continue to play the melody of your ideal state, knowing that the harmony of your world must eventually align with your inner song. But remember, my dear friends, this practice of cutting off silently is not about creating a perfect problem-free life. It is about maintaining your center, your true identity, regardless of external circumstances. It is about being in the world but not of it, as the Scripture says. As you go about your day, be aware of the many opportunities to practice your art. Each provocation, each unwanted circumstance is not a problem to be solved, but an opportunity to affirm your mastery. See these moments as gifts, chances to strengthen your understanding of who you truly are. Imagine a vast ocean. On the surface, waves crash and storms rage. But deep below, in the depths of the ocean, all is calm and still. This is how you must be in your world. Let the surface events of your life crash and storm, if they will, but maintain your deep, unshakable calm. For it is from this depth that you exercise your true power to shape your reality. As you master this practice, you will find that your world begins to reflect your inner state more and more. Those who once provoked you may find themselves inexplicably drawn to your calm presence. Circumstances that once seemed challenging may resolve themselves with surprising ease. For you are no longer feeding these elements with your reaction, your attention, your energy. But do not become attached to these outer changes, my beloved. Remember, your power lies not in controlling the outer world, but in mastering your inner state. Continue to practice your art of cutting off silently, of non-reaction, regardless of what appears in your outer world. For it is your consistent inner state that ultimately shapes your reality. Consider the words of Scripture, "The kingdom of God is within you." This kingdom is your consciousness, your inner world. As you rule this inner kingdom with wisdom and non-reaction, cutting off silently all that does not serve your highest good, your outer world must conform to reflect your inner mastery. As we conclude this discourse, my dear friends, remember that the practice of cutting off silently, of not reacting, is not a passive state. It is the most powerful, most active state you can embody. For in your silence, in your non-reaction, you are exercising your divine right as the creator of your reality. Go forth into your world with this new understanding. Practice your art of silent removal of non-reaction. Know that with each moment of calm in the face of provocation, with each silent cutting off of the unwanted, you are shaping your world at the deepest level. You are declaring your true identity as the master of your reality, the author of your life story. And above all, have faith. Faith in your true identity. Faith in your power to shape your world through your consciousness. Faith that as you maintain your inner calm, as you cut off silently all that does not serve you, your outer world must inevitably align with your inner ideal. For you are not mere mortals subject to the whims of circumstance. You are divine beings, creators of your reality. Embrace this truth. Live from this understanding. And watch as your world transforms to reflect the majesty of your true self.
Let's begin with this profound truth. The world you see before you is nothing more than the outward picture of your inner assumptions. Every doubt you harbor, every limitation you accept is but a shadow cast by your own consciousness. Tonight I want to share with you the most transformative principle that has ever been revealed to man. The principle that your consciousness is the one and only reality. When you truly grasp this, you will understand why doubting yourself is the greatest sin against your divine nature. Let me tell you something extraordinary about your desires. The very fact that you can conceive a desire means you possess the capacity to achieve it. For desire is nothing but your destiny seeking expression through you. It's God's promise, awaiting your acceptance. You see, most of you sit here tonight harboring doubts about your abilities, your worth, your potential. But I tell you this, these doubts are merely images you have accepted as facts. They are no more real than the shadows on a wall. The only power they possess is the power you have given them through your acceptance. Consider for a moment what you really want in life. Feel it deeply. Now understand this. That desire did not originate from you as a mere mortal being. That desire is God Himself knocking at the door of your consciousness, seeking expression through. But here's where most of you failed. You treat your desires as something external to be achieved, rather than an already existing reality to be assumed. You say, I want to be successful, but continue to wear the garment of doubt and limitation. Let me share with you a profound secret about manifestation. The secret lies not in the doing, but in the assumption. What you desire is already yours in what I call the fourth dimensional world, the world of consciousness. Your task is not to make it happen, but to assume the feeling of its accomplishment. You see, when you doubt yourself, you are actually denying your own divine nature. You are saying to the God within, I do not believe in your power expressing through me. Can you see the magnitude of this error? Every time you entertain a doubt, you are choosing to live in a state of consciousness that contradicts your desires. It's like planting seeds while simultaneously believing they won't grow. Your doubt negates your prayer. Let me tell you about the law that governs all manifestation. Consciousness is the only reality. Whatever you consciousness to be true, whatever state you occupy in consciousness, must objectify itself in your world. This is not theory. This is law. Most of you have been taught to combat doubt with positive thinking. But I tell you this, positive thinking is not enough. You must move beyond thinking to knowing. You must assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You see, the universe responds not to your words or your actions, but to your assumptions. When you truly assume a state, you need not concern yourself with the how. The how will be taken care of by powers and wisdom far greater than your mortal mind can conceive. Let me share with you the true meaning of faith. Faith is not believing that something will happen. Faith is assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled before any evidence appears in the external world. That is the faith that moves mountains. Consider for a moment, when you go to sleep at night, do you doubt that the sun will rise tomorrow? No, you rest in complete assurance of this fact. This is how you must treat your desires. Your doubts are merely habits of consciousness that can be replaced with absolute knowing. I tell you this, the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. When you assume the feeling of being what you want to be, you're actually entering into the state of consciousness that will externalize that desire. This is the ancient meaning of ye shall decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. You see, most of you are waiting for something external to give you permission to be what you desire to be. But I tell you with absolute certainty, The only permission you need is your own assumption. The only authority is just your own I am. Let me share with you a profound truth about your I am. Your I am is God Himself individualized in you. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God. Therefore, whatever you attach to your I am, you are creating as reality. But here is where most of you falter. You say I am, and then attach to it all your limitations, all your doubts, all your past failures. I am not good enough. I am not ready. I am not worthy. Do you not see that you are using the creative power of the universe to create what you do not want? Tonight, I urge you to make a fundamental shift in your consciousness. Instead of saying, I want, or I hope, or I will, begin to assume I am. For in that assumption lies all the power of creation. You see, the difference between success and failure lies not in external circumstances, but in this simple shift of consciousness. The successful person is not one who has no doubts, but one who has learned to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled despite apparent contradictions. Let me tell you about the law of assumption. When you assume a state, the whole world must reshape itself to accommodate your assumption. This is not positive thinking. This is cosmic law. Most of you have been taught to look at the world and then form your conclusions. But I tell you this, reverse the process. Form your assumption first, and the world will reshape itself to match your assumption. Consider this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone assuming a state that contradicted external evidence. They dared to assume what others called impossible. You see, your outer world is nothing more than your inner world pushed out. Every doubt you entertain, every limitation you accept, must externalize itself in your experience. This is law. Let me share with you the secret of eliminating doubt. You do not fight doubt. You simply assume a new state. When you occupy a new state in consciousness, the old state of doubt must die of neglect. You must understand this. Your consciousness is the only reality. Therefore, what you are conscious of being, you must become. This is why doubting yourself is such a grievous error. You're literally assuming a state of limitation. I want you to grasp this fundamental truth. The state of consciousness from which you operate is everything. When you doubt yourself, you are viewing life from a state of consciousness that must, by law, produce evidence of its own reality. You see, most of you are trying to change your lives while remaining in the same state of consciousness. This is like trying to produce apples while planting orange seeds. It is against law. Let me tell you about the true meaning of state. A state is not a fleeting thought or emotion. It is the consciousness from which you view the world. When you enter a state, you see only what that state dictates you must see. Consider this profound truth. Your present circumstances are nothing more than your previous states of consciousness objectified. Therefore, to change your future, you must change your state now. Most of you say, when my circumstances change, I will feel different. But I tell you this, you must feel different first. And then your circumstances will change to match your new feeling. You see, what you call reality is merely a shadow, a reflection of your state of consciousness. When you doubt yourself, you are actually doubting the infinite power that beats your heart and grows your fingernails. Let me share with you the secret of sustained transformation. You must learn to live from your desired state now. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, but now. This very moment. Most of you are waiting for something external to change before you change your concept of self. But I tell you this, nothing external can change until you change your concept of self. Consider carefully what I am telling you. Your concept of self is your destiny. Whatever you believe yourself to be, you will become. This is not philosophy, this is law. You see, when you go after what you want while maintaining a consciousness of doubt, you are working against yourself. It's like driving with one foot on the accelerator and one on the brake. Let me tell you about the power of assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are actually experiencing your desire in the only place it can first exist, in consciousness. Most of you think your desires are out there somewhere, waiting to be achieved. But I tell you this, Your desires exist now in consciousness, waiting to be assumed into reality. You see, every desire you have is actually God's desire to express more of himself through you. Therefore, when you doubt your ability to achieve your desire, you are doubting God himself. Consider this. The oak tree exists in the acorn long before it becomes visible to human eyes. Similarly, your desired reality exists in consciousness before it becomes visible in your world. Let me share with you profound truth about consciousness that few understand. When you say, I can't, or it's too difficult, you are not describing reality. You are creating it. Your words are decrees that must manifest by law. You see, the universe knows no difference between what you call possible and impossible. It only knows what you decree through your conscious assumptions. When you assume I can't, you are using the same creative power as when you assume I can. Consider this. Every time you entertain a doubt, you are actually praying for what you do not want. For prayer is not begging an external God, but feeling and assuming the reality of what you desire. Most of you turn your creative power against yourselves through doubt and self-limitation. You say, I'm trying. But in consciousness, there is no trying. Let me tell you about the true nature of creation. Creation's finished. All possible states exist now. Your task is not to create what you want, but to select and occupy the state that contains your desire. You see, when you go after what you want with doubt in your heart, you are attempting to enter two states at once. The state of having and the state of lacking. This is impossible. Consider carefully what I'm saying. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell in the state of doubt and the state of fulfillment simultaneously. You must choose. Most of you think you must first see evidence before you can believe. But I tell you this. What you see is the result of what you have been believing. To change what you see, you must change what you believe. Let me share with you the secret of effective action. All action must proceed from the right state of consciousness. Action without the correct state is futile. You see, when you take action from a state of doubt, you are actually reinforcing the very state you wish to leave. Your actions are merely expressing your current state of consciousness. Consider this. Everything in your world is yourself pushed out. Your doubt, your fear, your limitation, all are states you have occupied and are now seeing reflected back to you. Most of you are trying to change your world while maintaining the same conception of self. This is like trying to project a different image while using the same slide in the projector. Let me tell you about the law of consciousness. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will become. This is why entertaining doubts is such a serious matter. You are literally becoming your doubts. You see, your consciousness is God's gift to you. It is the creative power through which you shape your entire existence. When you doubt, you are misusing this divine gift. Consider this profound truth. In consciousness, there is no process. Things do not gradually become. They are. When you truly assume a state, you are in that state, and everything that belongs to that state must follow. You see, most of you believe in time as a creative force. But I tell you this, time is merely a device for postponing what exists now in consciousness. Your assumption, if sustained, is far more powerful than time. Let me tell you about the true nature of desire. The very presence of a desire is proof of its fulfillment. For how could you desire something if it did not already exist in consciousness? Most of you treat your desires as something to be achieved through struggle and effort. But I tell you this, your desire is actually God's remembrance of what you already are in the eternal now. Consider carefully what I'm saying. When you doubt your ability to achieve something, you are actually doubting the wisdom that gave you the desire in the first place. Can you see the contradiction? You see, every doubt you entertain is a denial of your own divine nature. He's saying to God, I do not believe in your power expressing through me. This is the true meaning of sin. Let me share with you the secret of effortless achievement. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the power that created the universe. All things then work together for the externalization of your assumption. Most of you believe you must battle against circumstances to achieve your desires. But I tell you this, Your circumstances are nothing but the shadow of your consciousness. Change your consciousness and circumstances must change. Consider this. Every great achievement began with someone daring to assume a state that contradicted current circumstances. They understood that circumstances bow to consciousness. You see, when you go after what you want while maintaining a consciousness of doubt, you are working against universal law. For the law states that consciousness is the only reality. Let me tell you about the power of persistence and assumption. It is not enough to assume your desire for a moment. You must persist until your assumption hardens into fact. Most of you abandon your assumption at the first sign of contradiction. But I tell you this, the very presence of contradiction is proof that your new assumption is taking root. Consider carefully. When you plant a seed in the ground, the first response of the soil is to show you more dirt. Would you then dig up the seed and declare it a failure? You see, the same law operates in consciousness. When you plant the seed of a new assumption, the first response of your world may be to show you evidence of the old state. This is law. Let me tell you the ultimate truth about manifestation. Your world is nothing more than your consciousness objectified. Therefore, the only place where true change can occur is in consciousness. Consider this final wisdom. You never attract what you want. You attract what you are. When you understand this, you will cease trying to change things in the outer world and focus all your attention on changing your state of consciousness. You see, your consciousness is like a radio broadcasting station. Whatever frequency you broadcast through your assumptions, the universe must return to you in physical form. This is immutable law. Most of you spend your lives trying to change the pictures on the screen while ignoring the projector. But I'll tell you this, change a slide in the projector of consciousness, and the pictures must change. Let me share with you this ultimate secret of achievement. Success is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by the person you become in consciousness. When you cease doubting and assume the consciousness of already being what you desire to be, your world must reshape itself accordingly. You see, every moment of your life, you are choosing a state of consciousness to occupy. Choose wisely, for your entire world springs from this choice. Consider this final truth. You are not a mere human being seeking a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. When you truly grasp this, all doubt must vanish. Tonight, I urge you to make this supreme decision. Decide what you want to be and assume that you are it now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. For now is the only time there is. Remember this, Watts? The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. Whatever you desire, assume the feeling that would be yours if you already had it. You see, doubt is nothing but sleeping in the state of limitation. Wake up. Assume your desired state now. Feel its reality. Live from it. Breathe it for what you feel you create. Let this be your sacred moment of decision. Choose now to stop doubting yourself. Choose to assume the state of consciousness that implies your wish is fulfilled. Choose to live as though your prayers are already answered. For I tell you this with absolute certainty. The world has no choice but to mirror back to you what you decree in consciousness. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is law. Remember, you are the operant power in your world. No one else can assume your desired state for you. No one else can live in the end for you. This is your grand opportunity, your divine responsibility. Therefore, go forth now in this knowledge. Let every doubt fall away like autumn leaves. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live from that assumption. For in this lies the secret of all creation. For when you cease doubting and start living from the end, when you persist in your assumption despite all evidence to the contrary, when you remain faithful to your chosen state, then, and only then, will you experience the truth that all things are possible to him who believes. This is the law. This is the promise. This is the way. And now, having shared these eternal truths with you, I leave you with this final thought. The life you dream of is not waiting for you in some distant future. It exists now in consciousness, waiting for you to assume it into expression. The choice is yours. The time is now. The power is within you. Thank you.
I wish to share with you a profound truth that has eluded countless individuals in their pursuit of their desires. The very reason most people remain trapped in their current circumstances, unable to manifest their dreams, lies in their misunderstanding of one fundamental principle. You see, the world you experience at this very moment is nothing more than the outward projection of your inner assumptions. Every success, every failure, every circumstance in your life is a direct reflection of what you have accepted as true in your consciousness. The key step that most people miss, and this is crucial, is that they fail to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. They pray, they hope, they work hard, but they continue to live from that current state of consciousness rather than the state they desire to express. Let me explain this more deeply. When you want something, be it wealth, love, success, or any other desire, you must first understand that it already exists in what I call the fourth dimensional world. This is the world of infinite possibilities, the world of imagination, where all things already exist in their perfect form. The secret lies not in working towards your desire, but in accepting that you already possess it. This is where most people stumble. They continue to see their desire as something to be achieved in the future, thereby perpetuating the state of wanting rather than having. Think for a moment. When you say, I want to be successful, you are actually confirming and reinforcing your current state of lack. You are declaring to your subconscious mind that success is something outside of you, something you don't currently possess. This very assumption keeps you locked in the state of wanting. Instead, you must dare to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. If you desire success, you must go about your day feeling successful, thinking from success, acting from success, not as a future state to be achieved, but as a present fact. This is not mere positive thinking or affirmation. This is a complete transformation of your consciousness. You must feel the naturalness of being what you want to be. If you desire wealth, you must feel wealthy now. If you desire love, you must feel loved now. If you desire success, you must feel successful now. The power of your assumption, when persisted in, becomes your reality. This is law. Just as the seed contains within itself the full potential of the mature plant, your consciousness contains within itself the full potential of all you desire to be. Most people live their entire lives never realizing that their imagination is actually the very substance of reality. They see imagination as mere fantasy, as something separate from what they call reality. But I tell you this, your imagination is reality itself in its first stage of manifestation. To say to this, everything you now accept as real in your world was once only imagined. The chair you're sitting on, the clothes you're wearing, the building you're in, all were first imagined before they became what you now accept as reality. This is the pattern of creation. The same principle applies to your desires. The state you wish to occupy already exists in your imagination. It is as real as anything you now accept as fact. The only difference is your assumption about what is real and what is imagined. Let me share with you a profound truth. You never attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is determined by the state you occupy in consciousness. This is why affirmations alone often fail. You cannot affirm externally what you deny internally. The key step that people miss is the complete surrender to the state desired. They try to make things happen instead of allowing things to happen through the natural law of assumption. They stand outside their desire, looking at it instead of living from within it. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand that there is nothing to change but your assumptions about yourself and your world. The outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. This is law. Many of you sit here tonight thinking, yes, but how do I change my assumptions? The answer is simpler than you might imagine, yet it requires a complete reversal of your traditional thinking. Instead of working hard to achieve something, you must assume that you already have it. The art of assumption is the most vital skill you must master. When you assume a state, you must persist in that state until it becomes your dominant feeling. This is where people falter. They test the law instead of proving it through persistent assumption. Let me tell you something profound. Your consciousness is the only reality. Right now, as you sit here, you might believe that your senses define reality. But I tell you, your senses only show you what your consciousness has already accepted as true. Think about this carefully. Every night when you sleep, you enter different states in your dreams. In those dreams, you experience sights, sounds, and sensations that feel completely real. Where do these experiences come from? They come from consciousness itself. They come from consciousness deliberately creating these experiences. The difference between your dream state and your waking state is only in the intensity of your assumption. What you now consider reality is simply a more intense and persistent dream that you've collectively agreed upon. Now, here's where most people miss the crucial step. They fail to understand that they can wake up from their current dream, their current state, by assuming a new state with the same intensity that they assume their present state. You see, at this very moment, you are assuming certain things about yourself. You're assuming your name, your job, your relationships, your financial status. These assumptions feel so natural to you that you don't even question them. This is the key. Whatever you assume with complete conviction must externalize itself in your world. But here's the vital truth that most miss. You can assume something new with the same naturalness. This is not pretense. This is not make-believe. This is the creative use of the same power that sustains your present assumptions. When you go to sleep tonight, you naturally assume you're in your bed. You don't question it. You don't doubt it. This same unquestioning acceptance must be applied to your desired state. Listen carefully now, for this is where the secret of manifestation lies. When you assume your desire fulfilled, you must do it with the same naturalness with which you assume your bed is real when you lie down to sleep. This naturalness is the key that most seekers miss. Your imagination, when properly directed, is not mere daydreaming. It is the very substance of reality. Every time you imagine something, you are literally creating a mold into which the substance of your world will flow. But, and this is crucial, you must remain faithful to your imaginal act. Most people perform an imaginal act and then return to their old state of consciousness. They imagine themselves wealthy for a moment, then open their eyes and react to their current financial situation. This vacillation between states prevents the manifestation of their desire. You must understand this. The moment you assume a new state, your entire world must rearrange itself to accommodate your new assumption. This is law. But you must give it time to externalize. The seed must have time to grow. Let me share with you a principle that few understand. Time is not a distance to be traveled. It is a sequence of states to be experienced. When you assume your desire fulfilled, you have actually entered the state where your desire exists. The time it takes to externalize is merely the time required for you to feel natural in that state. Most people fail because they don't grasp this truth. The feeling of naturalness is the key. If being wealthy feels unnatural to you, if being loved feels unnatural, if success feels unnatural, then you are not truly occupying that state. You are merely visiting it in your imagination. You must persist in your new state until it feels just as natural as your present state now feels. This is where faith comes in. Not faith in some external power, but faith in the law that consciousness is the only reality. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that there is nothing to change but your conception of self. Change that and you change your entire world. Now, let me share with you something profound about the nature of your consciousness. Your I amness, your awareness of being, is God Himself individualized. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God, for that is the true name of God. I am that I am. A fatal mistake that most people make is that they do not understand this power of I am. They use it unconsciously, carelessly, not realizing that whatever follows I am is what they are decreeing into existence. When you say, I am poor, I am sick, I am unlucky, you are literally commanding these states into being. This is the key step that people miss. They do not watch their assumptions. Every time you react to an event, every time you speak about yourself, you are setting into motion the law that shapes your world. Your I am is your consciousness, and your consciousness is the only reality. Consider this. Right now, you are saying, I am to everything you accept as true about yourself. These assumptions have become so natural that you don't even recognize them as assumptions. They feel like facts. But I tell you, they are only facts because you have given them the power of your assumption. The secret of manifestation lies in transferring your awareness from one state to another. You must cease to be the person you believe yourself to be and assume the consciousness of the person you wish to be. This is not pretense. This is the creative use of the only power that exists. When you say, I am successful, I am wealthy, I am loved, you are not lying to yourself. You are actually entering into that state in consciousness. And since consciousness is the only reality, you are literally creating that reality. But, and this is crucial, you must persist in that state until it feels natural. This is where most people fail. They make a bold declaration of what they want to be, but they don't persist until it feels natural. They don't give the seed time to grow. You see, manifestation follows the divine pattern. Just as a seed must be planted and given time to grow, your assumption must be planted in consciousness and given time to externalize. The law operates with mathematical precision. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will manifest. There is no other way. This is why your current world perfectly reflects your past assumption. Every detail of your life, every relationship, every circumstance is the flowering of seeds you have planted in your consciousness. Most people spend their lives trying to change things on the outside while maintaining the same consciousness. They try to change their world while remaining in the same state. This is like trying to harvest different fruits while planting the same seeds. It is against law. Listen carefully now, for I am about to share with you the secret of effective prayer. True prayer is not begging or beseeching an external power. True prayer is assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When you pray, you must pray believing that you have already received. This is where faith enters. But faith is not what most people think it is. Faith is not believing that something will happen in the future. Faith is accepting as fact what your senses deny. It is living from the end, feeling the reality of your desire fulfilled, while your senses tell you otherwise. Most people miss this crucial step. They pray and then look for evidence of answer. But I tell you, the evidence will only appear after you have persisted in your assumption. You must live as though your prayer has already been answered. Think about this. When you order something from a catalog, you don't keep ordering it over and over. You place the order once and then wait for its delivery. The same is true with your desires. You place your order with consciousness by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And then you wait in the absolute confidence that it must externalize. But here's the vital point that most miss. While you're waiting, you must maintain the consciousness of having already received. You must live from the end. Your actions, your words, your attitudes must all spring from the assumption that your desire is already a fact. This is not easy, I know. The evidence of your senses will constantly try to pull you back to your old state. But you must persist. You must remain faithful to your assumption, despite all evidence to the contrary. Now, let me share with you another crucial aspect that most people overlook. Your consciousness is not confined to your physical body. Your consciousness extends to everything you are aware of. Therefore, when you change your consciousness, you change everything that falls within its range. This is why you cannot change others directly. You can only change them by changing your consciousness of them. Whatever you consciously assume about another must be manifested in your relationship with them. This is law. Most people try to change others through external means, through persuasion, through force, through manipulation. But I tell you, the only way to change another is to change your consciousness of them. Change your assumption about them, and they must conform to your new assumption. This applies to every area of your life. Your financial situation, your health, your relationships, all are simply outpicturings of your assumptions. When you change your assumption, the whole vast world must change to reflect your new consciousness. But here's where people stumble. They do not persist in their new assumption long enough for it to become natural. They venture into a new state of consciousness, but retreat at the first sign of contradiction. They are like farmers who dig up the seed to see if it's growing. You must understand this. The time between your assumption and its manifestation is not a period of inaction. It is a period of gestation. Just as a pregnant woman carries her child while going about her normal activities, you must carry your assumption while continuing with your daily life. During this period, you may face what seem to be contradictions to your assumption. Your senses may tell you that nothing has changed. This is the time when most people abandon their assumption and return to their old state. But I tell you, these apparent contradictions are actually signs that the law is working. Just as a seed must first dissolve before it can grow, your old conditions must often appear to worsen before they give way to your new state. This is law. The old must die for the new to be born. Therefore, I tell you this with absolute certainty. The key step that most people miss is not in the doing, but in the being. They focus on what they must do to achieve their desires, when they should be focusing on what they must be. Remember this eternal truth. Your world is yourself, pushed out. Everything you see, everything you experience is simply yourself externalized. There is no one to change but self. When you change your concept of self, you change your entire world. The great secret of life is this: there is no one to tell you no, except yourself. There is no one to deny you, except yourself. There is no one to delay your good except yourself. You are the power you have been seeking. You are the authority you have been waiting for. In closing, let me give you this final crucial understanding. Tonight, as you leave this place, you have a choice. You can continue to live from your old assumptions, thereby perpetuating your current conditions. Or you can dare to assume a new state of consciousness, thereby creating a new world. The choice is yours, and yours alone. But remember this: whatever state you assume, whatever concept you hold of yourself, will externalize itself in your world with mathematical precision. This is not theory, and this is law. So I say to you, dare to assume that you are what you want to be. Dare to enter into the state of your wish fulfilled. Dare to live from the end, for in this daring lies the key that most people miss. The key to all manifestation. Go forth now, not to make things happen, but to allow things to happen by virtue of your changed consciousness. Go forth, not to achieve, but to receive what is already yours by right of consciousness. Go forth, not to become, but to be what you desire to be. For I tell you this, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and that kingdom contains all that you could ever desire. Your assumption is the key that unlocks this kingdom. Use it wisely, use it lovingly, use it persistently. And remember always, you are the operant power. You are the consciousness through which all things emerge. You are the God of your universe, and your consciousness is the only reality. The state you assume today is the world you will experience tomorrow. Choose wisely, persist faithfully, and watch as your world transforms itself to match your assumption. That is all, and that is enough.